Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us at the Foreign Correspondents Club of Thailand. Before we begin our panel, some announcements, just a couple of them. Upcoming events at the club next week. On Thursday evening, we have a screening of the Dateline documentary Saigon with the producer and director Thomas Herman. And as usual, on Friday night, it's our trivia. Oh, wait. Yes. No. That's in 2 weeks. We have trivia night on May the 16th at 7 p.m. My name is Francesca Regalado. I am a journalist and a member of the club. I'll be your moderator for this timely panel on artificial intelligence and press freedom. And by the way, happy World Press Freedom Day. AI presents both promises and peril for newsrooms. For example, in my work as a business correspondent in Thailand, I used AI to translate and summarize corporate analyst notes. I would receive those notes weekly or daily, usually just 1 or 2 pages, assessing the performance of a stock or corporate earnings, and it was more efficient to run it through ChatGPT than to ask assistants to translate them. In a report published by UNESCO, our hosts for this evening last year, AI does make it easier for newsrooms to do things like analyze mass volumes of data, moderate comments, and recommend the next story that you should read. But for many newsrooms, especially the small and independent ones in this region, AI compounds the daily struggles for survival and the threats of surveillance and disinformation. So our panel tonight will discuss how we can use AI to help small outlets stay afloat by making their operations leaner, perhaps, and more efficient, and even reach a wider audience. And also, how can we protect newsrooms and the profession of journalism at large from being displaced by AI? So to start, I would like to introduce Joseph Hinks of UNESCO's regional office in Bangkok, our sponsors for this evening.
Thanks very much, Francesca, and thank you to everyone for being here with us this evening. So as Francesca said, my name is Joseph Hinks. I work for the Communication and Information Unit at UNESCO, which addresses things like freedom of information, safety of journalists, documentary heritage, and media literacy. As has been mentioned, we're here today for a fascinating discussion on the implications of artificial intelligence on the media viability and the future of newsrooms across Southeast Asia, and particularly small newsrooms. So we're very happy to have an expert panel here to discuss this today. But indeed, we're having this conversation on the eve of World Press Freedom Day tomorrow. So as your resident bureaucrat, it falls on me to say a couple of words about that. World Press Freedom Day is a moment to reflect on the state of the press, the rights that it defends, and those who've paid far too high a price for doing this work. It's a reminder that press freedom is not self-sustaining. It needs protection, and it needs the world to pay attention. You in this room, of course, don't need much reminding of this fact. Over the years and in recent weeks, the FCC has hosted people who are far more equipped to speak on this than I am. People like Vi Tran, who spoke a couple of weeks ago about her situation in Vietnam, wearing the T-shirt of her magazine's co-founder, who is currently in prison. We had people like Rohit Mahajan, who laid out the implications of the funding cuts to Radio Free Asia and VOA. And just last Friday, we had An Nang So and Joe Friedman read a poem in Burmese written from the front lines of the conflict. So this year, UNESCO's global theme is Reporting in the Brave New World. That nomenclature is pretty well worn by now, but Aldous Huxley's brother was actually UNESCO's first Director General, so maybe it's fair game for us to borrow it. And it fits, because generative AI is reshaping journalism and hammering on the doors of perception in ways that few could have envisaged just a few years ago. As Francesca explained earlier, it's used to summarize complex data, generate images, support investigations, and it's helping some small newsrooms do more with less in this financially volatile climate. But AI is also scraping content without permission, and it's undermining already fragile revenue models for newsrooms, and especially small newsrooms are vulnerable to this. Who would have thought just a year ago that phrases like scraping X for grok would be part of our everyday vocabulary? A recent UNESCO report warns that the business model for journalism is being hollowed out by AI systems that use publisher content but offer no compensation in return. We've seen that some publishers have begun signing licensing deals, but many others are left behind with no clear path to sustainability. And perhaps this is an issue that some of our panelists will address this evening. That's devastating, because without original reporting, there is no public interest journalism. This year, World Press Freedom Day comes at an acutely challenging time for our industry. UNESCO recorded at least 68 killings, journalist killings in the line of duty in 2024, including at least 42 in countries already experiencing conflict. And the highest numbers, unsurprisingly, were in the Gaza Strip. Although killings outside of conflict zones dropped to 26, the lowest in 16 years, the threats that are facing journalists today are evolving. Threats like the rise in the use of slaps, the financial lawsuits designed to silence critical media. A UNESCO report released last May showed that there was a 42% rise in attacks on journalists reporting on environmental issues from the period between 2014 and 2018 to the period between 2019 and 2024. We're also seeing threats like the explosion of deepfakes, which a 2023 UNESCO report already warned of being weaponized to exacerbate online violence against women, and that particularly affects women in public-facing roles like journalism. So in response to some of these challenges, UNESCO Bangkok works on initiatives like training police forces on journalists' human rights during protests, training judges and prosecutors to combat slaps, and raising awareness of AI tools and how they relate to the rule of law among judicial actors. Globally, UNESCO's developed a set of instruments to guide responsible innovation. These include the recommendation on the ethics of artificial intelligence, the guidelines on the governance of digital platforms, and new global principles for information integrity. Together, they call for transparency, accountability, and AI policies that are grounded in human rights and designed to safeguard pluralism and trust. Journalists must be free to carry out their work, because at a time when the provenance of every photo and quote can be in doubt, getting to the truth depends on people, not just technology. People with judgment, skepticism, curiosity, and courage. And those are the people that World Press Freedom Day honors. Tonight, we're very lucky to be joined by our esteemed panelists who will discuss how some of these issues are playing out in newsrooms here in Thailand, across the academic sector. And we also have Charlie Beckett, who is joining us online from London School of Economics. It's especially helpful to hear about the impacts of AI on small newsrooms here in Asia. So I'm very grateful to our panel for being here with us today, and very grateful to everyone who's come out on a Friday night to join us, and to those online. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Joe. Now I'm pleased to introduce our distinguished panel of academics and journalists. First, we have Dr. Pichitra Supasawat-Kun, Professor of Communication at Chulalongkorn University. Dr. Nata Kamonwadin, News Director of The Standard. Mike Rao Manachai, Media Trainer and Vice President for Southeast Asia of the Asian American Journalists Association. And joining us online is Professor Charlie Beckett, Director of Polis, a think tank for international journalism at the London School of Economics, as well as the Journalism AI Project, also at LSE. And we'll begin with Dr. Pichitra's presentation.
Okay, can you hear me? Thank you. This is my honor to be joining the session for UNESCO, especially for the days of press freedom. Basically, can I show my presentation? The thing is, I had got the assignment to analyze the market in Thailand. I mean, the news market and newsroom in Thailand. Basically, I tried to find the information and found out that actually, when we talk about AI, Thai people is quite optimistic toward AI, especially generated AI, obviously. It's like about 82% believe that AI will have the positive impact, especially in social media. I mean, social media. You can see that Thailand always, in the top rank, kind of like, engage in the social media. We spend a lot of time in the social media. So basically, we can see that Thai people actually believe in AI, especially in the social media and also education. I think the data, maybe they go to interview the university, including like my university, Chulalongkorn University. We are very active in AI and seem like AI could have some potential to, to generate some like valuable information for people. And if you take a look at the statistic, it seems like, especially the young generation in Thailand, like Gen Z, Gen Y, they seem to be like think positive toward AI. I'm not sure about the data. When you talk about social media, the first AI that Thai people think about is to, kind of like put your face look better in the social media. This is also a part of AI. So that's why I think Thai people quite think positive toward AI. But if you take a look at how they use the AI in the workplace, is only 1 in 5 using the AI in the workplace. When you compare to our neighbor like Singapore and Malaysia, it seems like not many Thai people using AI in the workplace. So this is kind of, the data still see the potential gap between AI for entertainment and AI for the workplace. And another thing that I found out is about 43% more likely to trust AI-generated information, especially AI in the chatbot. So it's quite high percentage that Thai people rely on AI, information in the AI, and they trust it. And also, according to this research, but I didn't show it in the graph, it seemed like Thai people actually tend to, give away their personal data to any online website or social media. So when I take a look at it, it's quite kind of like we can see the opportunities in Thai market, but at the same time we can see the risk in Thai market. So when we talk about newsroom, I think of course AI can make many benefit for the journalists that maybe Kunmai and Kunatha will talk about this, but AI can automate the reporting, can fact check, help Kunmai to do fact checking, but maybe he can give us some example and use case that he used the AI or actually AI actually trick him for this information. But at the same time, we also can see a lot of fancy things happen because of AI. For example, the Nation in Thailand, they actually have the AI reporter. Actually, it's like a news anchor to replace the actual human. So for Thai people and Thai newsroom, AI still just starting to get kick off as a use case in Thailand. But one thing that I also want to make it as a concern with my talk is when I take a look at AI platform, especially the generative AI, I think that it's also a part of the company that try to gathering data and selling data to the audience. So basically, now we have a newsroom, we have the content creator, we have the journalist, and in between it's like a platform war for me. The platform war that you used to have the old media channel like TV, newspaper, and has been disrupted by website, digital platform, and also you have the social media, and also like search engine like Google or Bing, Safari, or whatever for people to find out about the information. And now we have the AI platform that is, for me, is like a platform war. They actually try to generate, also kind of like make money from the contents. So basically, I grouping them as a distributor for the information. And audience who are the end user has some kind of choice where to find the information and where to find the news. So the audience also has to kind of have some kind of like media literacy, because with the generative AI it's quite tricky because they can generate and shaping information for you. And one thing that I can see the risk from the AI apart from job replacement from the AI in the newsroom, another thing I can see that there was some kind of risk of disinformation going on with the deepfake that generate from the AI. Lately, I can see like when I go to the social media, there was a gambling website. They can generate the deepfake by using celebrity talking and promote the gambling website, and it looks so true. So basically, I can see the risk from disinformation and harmful content that's going on from the AI. One thing that could be the opportunity for the newsroom is, apart from, can make your work more efficiency, is I think that it also can be an opportunity for the newsroom that can sell that information. Because in Thailand, I think we have the struggle of, try to find a business model for the newsroom that proper enough to generate the income to feed the news organization. Because now lately, Thai journalists has been threatened by, freedom of expression, has been threatened by also, the replacement of the workforce that come with the AI, generative AI and digital disruption. The journalists in Thailand also been forced by, the kind of budget that in every newsroom have shrinking down their budget. And so I think when we have the, AI platform, it's also, hopefully that it could be the opportunity that the newsroom can find their way also to make money, to get the kind of rights of information and sell to the generative AI platform at least, that if they value the, factual and valuable information that come from the journalists, it could be the opportunity as well to find out the way that we can still have the information that, benefit for the public interest. But again, we have to be aware of, information inclusive, that maybe, is it going to be in the future that only people who has enough money that be able to get the, good information and factual information. Yes, for my side, yeah.
Thank you very much, Dr. Puchitra. Kunata, please.
Thank you. And first of all, I'd like to say that I'm so honored to be joining this panel discussion to discuss AI in the newsroom on the eve of World Press Freedom Day. And thank you very much for UNESCO to invite me to join this discussion. As Ajahn Dr. Puchitra talked about AI, how we have been using AI in the newsroom. So I just like to walk you through what we are doing at the Standard. Just want to introduce to you briefly what is the Standard and what we are doing. Standard is an online media, and we were born in 2017, so it's about 7 years now. It was born during the online inception in Thailand, and currently we have about 200 people working for the Standard in different departments. For the newsroom, we have about 40 to 50 content creators, editors, and all the production department. And we also have content agency department and forum marketing. So overall, 200 people are not only working in the newsroom, but we are content provider, and we are the company which organize forum as well on top of reporting or having news coverage. And with AI, it's in experimenting stage. I'm sure that all of you are also exploring best practice, and your organization must also working on exploring with how to use AI as well. And from the inception of AI in November 2020 and 22, so it's about nearly 3 years now. And the management of the Standard has been quite motivate staff to use AI extensively, and it's like exploring stage. At the moment, we are talking about how we can use AI to the maximum, like to develop internal cloud system to utilize it to the maximum. But we still don't have pattern in using it yet. But we set up, we call us like AI strike team to recruit internal staff, like 20 of us, to share information and to tell one another how we are using AI for our jobs. So it will start from like being research assistant. AI will be research assistant, collecting data, information, and help framing the questions when exploring any topic. And we need to like use AI for transcribing, doing translation, and putting into subtitle for our program. The standard have text-based stories, article, but our main product is video clips on YouTube and on every social media platform. So for content creator, we encourage our team to use AI. For now, it's quite like free flow, but the thing is the editors still have to check the details of each story. And of course, the content creator, some content creator or some reporters are quite having doubt whether they can really trust AI in helping them shaping the narrative of the stories. But the editors try to encourage them to explore. And myself also using it, but I find so many mistakes happening from the answer of AI. And recently we just have AI workshop set up by management and having AI training program for all the staff, not all the staff, but the middle level team to learn more properly how to use AI, like different function of AI to suit our needs. Like we can use from Perplexity, ChatGPT, and other AI like Gemini, DeepSeek. We learn from the beginning what's different or what's the specialized function of each AI. And we know that each AI application has its own strength and weakness. But we try to integrate different AIs into different jobs. Like the digital production, they will use AI for editing some photo, but we need to make sure that the photo is not deep fake, but it's from the real field work that the reporter go out to the field and got some photo. But we use it to a certain limit. It doesn't mean that we distort the facts from the frame or from photo, but we use it with like care in telling the story. But the photo of portrait or people in the news, it's been used to a certain limit in terms of editing the photo to make people or make the news source look better for our output. And for the digital team, the art team also use AI to retouch or draft infographic. And with the housekeeping strategy, we use AI to keep our like source of information or the content like photo, stories. But the thing is, we do not have central or cloud storage system to install all our stories or all the content or all the material, and it's the exploring stage how we can convert all the raw materials that we have got from our investment from the content creator who go out to the field interviewing firsthand. We have to do that, and we encourage our reporter to do so extensively, and it means that we have more time to interview online or to meet our news source online because they can speed up in terms of transcribing all the data. I mean, in housekeeping function, the content creator can shorten their length of time in producing the news. So we need to spend more time of interviewing firsthand, asking information. So overall, AI is being integrated extensively in the newsroom, but we are trying to find a clear guideline or regulation in terms of telling the audience. So as of now, it's the exploring and experimenting stage in terms of using AI, but we are very much aware that it has to be formulated or regulated And our raw materials, our interviews, our content, we consider it as currency of the company. So the thing is, what we can utilize or maximize the use of AI, but to keep content as the asset of the company for the future use, because otherwise it will be used publicly or distributed publicly by using from different AI application, and it can become like threat or warning stage in protecting our rights for the future use. So that has been going on for the standard at the moment. It's still very much the beginning stage of using AI and experimenting with our content.
Thank you, Kunata.
Thank you.
Yeah, that all sounds very familiar. That was also what we did in the Nikkei Asia team when I was part of Nikkei Asia. Mike, moving on to you. You've worked most recently with CoFact. Could you tell us about CoFact's collaboration with Google on AI literacy training?
Yeah, sure. Previously, I just recently joined CoFact, which is a fact-checking news publisher based in Thailand with the similar model from CoFact Taiwan, which is we use like a community-based fact check. So what they do is that they ask people, online community to help fact-checking topics like health issues, science, and it has been successful so far. But what happened in the past few years, as you might know, is the growth of generative AI, of all of these AI misinformation. So I think at the same time, CoFact wanted to becoming an organization that can help promoting AI literacy in the country. And Google News Initiative, or GNI, I was previously working full-time with them before, and we've been supporting the work of CoFact for the past 5 years. And one of the things that we've been recently promoting heavily is on AI literacy and training programs. So that's what we do. We train journalists, we train CoFact communities, and also university students in AI fact checks. We do a lot of them to understand how to use Gemini and Notebook LM and all of the Google AI products in the way that it doesn't really go into the direction where they misuse it. So because a lot of times, I think I came out with a lot of times, a lot of AI misinformation came from prompts. And you understand what I mean by prompts, right? By the prompts that could potentially create hallucination. That has actually happened a lot. So a lot of misinformation comes from prompts that could create things like the facts that not exist, or even breaking news, because as you know, a lot of generative AI models, they're learned from the data from the past. Doesn't mean that it doesn't know like the factual information, but it will take time to learn. And this is something a lot of people thought that AI is so smart that they can actually be able to understand everything and give you all of the factual information. No, it's not. It's actually, like, for example, if you ask any of the generative AI platform about what's the breaking news that just happened like maybe 5 minutes ago, do you think that they're gonna give you the correct answer? Probably not, because the models probably just hasn't learned it fast enough, right? But if you do a regular search, like on regular search engines, probably yes, because that's how search engine works. So these kind of things that I have to teach people like it doesn't have to be like, oh, I have to teach them how to use like AI tools, but these kind of online literacy that actually has been something new to a lot of people. So that's why this is like one of the things that we've been doing, besides telling them how to use all of these tools in professionally in the newsroom as well. Yeah.
Right. So aside from the expecting that AI can learn quickly, what are the other misunderstandings and misuses that you see in newsrooms?
I think a lot of times, I think similar to probably what you have seen and also what you have seen in your newsroom as well. A lot of journalists probably don't know how to maximize their potential of the tools, and also they might use the tools that not appropriate for the work that they do. For example, like if you want to get like some insights, like some insights of the sources, or ask questions. But I think a lot of people might go towards ChatGPT or Gemini, but those are great if you want to do like like a quick summary or like create some bullet points, like translates and also. But if you already have that facts, like that sort of like research paper or something, and you want to get insight from it, I would suggest that you probably use something else like Notebook LM, where it actually would give you more factual based answer if you prompt it. So there are a lot of tools out there that people can implement, but the thing is they just have to learn like which tool is best from other tools. And sometimes like as I just want to go back to the hallucination prompts real quick, because you also have to understand like different platforms have different policies, and the policy also reflect the answer of your AI as well. So for example, if you use an AI that developed in China, it might not be able to answer questions related to Chinese politics, for example, even though it's so smart, but it's been blocked. So that's some good. For example, it would give you like hallucinated answer, like made up answer, but it doesn't tell you the truth. And that is something that people have to be aware as well. Yeah.
We actually say that AI has a personality. Each AI has a
Yep.
personality.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. Thank you, Mike. Charlie, we'll go to you next for an international overview.
Yeah, and thanks very much for allowing me to talk to you. I was in Chiang Mai last year at the SPLICE conference of digital innovators from Asia, and that was extremely exciting. I want to talk, I suppose, about the work that I do around journalism and AI. I run the Journalism AI project at the London School of Economics, and we started working on this back in 2018. Because I'm somebody who does a lot of research on how media has changed over the years. When I was a journalist, media was changing a lot as well. And it seemed to me that AI was going to be the next kind of wave of technological change. And of course, with generative AI, ChatGPT, we've seen a kind of explosion of interest. And it was fascinating listening to the other panelists. I think it's really clear that AI is incredibly popular with people, real people in their lives. And so it'd be rather weird if journalists didn't use it as well. And I was fascinated to listen to how the Standard is using it. That really does seem like a kind of model strategy to approach AI and start to use it in all parts of journalism, not just creating content, but in news gathering, and of course in revenue raising and optimizing your content for your users, for the public. I love the work that Mike is doing as well. It's so important that not only citizens, but we as journalists, that we become a lot more literate about the risks of AI, the flaws that it's got, but also how best to use it in a responsible way. I think that is so important. And the lessons we've learned from the Journalism AI project is that what the Standard is doing is absolutely essential. That we're in a world now where the bad people, if you like, are already using AI. They're creating misinformation, they're creating clickbait, They're kind of filling people's phones and other devices with bad information often, or just boring information, frankly. And so it's really important that journalists use the same technology, but in a good way. And the lesson that we've learned, and we work with literally thousands of journalists right around the world in more than 100 countries. And the lessons that we've learned from them is that, generally speaking, they use it to sort of supplement their work. They use it to become more efficient, to become more effective. So that, for example, if they do create, say, I don't know, a 5-minute film, they can use AI to reformat that in lots of different ways. They can use it to translate it to different languages. They can use it to make different versions, for example, for social media, or just different versions because some people might want a short version, they're in a rush. Other people might want it in text or audio. And so AI enables you to reach more people in the way that suits them. And I think that is so important because we can tell that people's behavior around information in general and around journalism in particular is changing. And it's not just young people. It's everybody is now behaving in different ways. We expect to get information instantly. We expect to get answers to our questions straight away. We don't want to sit around and wait for the evening TV news bulletin. So I think there's so many opportunities. We've heard about so many of those, and it's changing all the time. So it's really important that you start to get across this, even if you don't think you're going to use it much, and that you experiment with it. And I always say to people, don't use it for your journalism straight away. Do something else with it. You know, plan a dinner or a holiday, or just have fun with it to start with. And then when you feel comfortable with it, then start to think about what's the thing I need most as a journalist. And it could be you need more time, or it could be that you need, you know, your boss has told you to do more on social media. And then you can think about how AI might be able to help you. And the last thought I want to say is that the best outcome that we've seen when we've been working with people who are using AI is not just that they get clever about the technology, but they are using it for the human value. They're using it to strengthen their journalism. But then it gives them time also to do more human work. You know, the AI cannot be curious. It cannot make judgments. It has no feelings of compassion or surprise. It has no sense of humor. It has no heart. And in fact, it has no real intelligence. It doesn't know what is true. And so in that sense, the human bit is going to be even more important. When people are looking out for good information or relevant information, then they're going to turn to you, not just because you're clever at using digital technologies like AI, but because you are doing the human work. That's what's going to stand out in the future. And if you want more help or information, then just Google LSE, Journalism and AI. All the services that we provide for journalists are free and easily accessible, and we'd love to get in touch with you all. So thanks.
Thank you very much, Charlie. That was a really succinct overview. And good to know where we can find tools for journalists to maximize our use of AI. I'm going to open the floor to questions in a few minutes, but we'll start first with a few questions from me, for panelists. Charlie was already talking about this a little bit, that AI can't be creative, it cannot emote, it can't really know what's true. So if AI tools can already write and edit and distribute news faster than we can, what is left for us to do?
Can I maybe start first? Actually, it's my concern. You know, I try to plot that how AI can fit in the new supply chain, right? Nowadays, we can see that it's very fit in terms of as a distribution channel, another distribution channel, and also like income generated for the journalists and newsroom. But we also find out that some AI platform nowadays hiring I kind of like getting the information from the small newsroom, gathering it, and ask the AI to learn how generated the news. I actually talking to my colleague who is a specialist in AI. I was so kind of like negative toward AI because it could be replace the job of journalists, right? But they say that, I mean, AI experts saying that, somehow, of course, AI platform can be the, distribution channel nowadays. In the future, it also can, make the journalists work faster. And I can see the potential that, for example, I teach data journalism, and I find out that now we have a lot of tools. When I start, teaching the data journalism like almost 7 years ago, we have to collect the data, we have to find, write the graph and everything. So it's impossible that one person can do the work of data journalism. But nowadays we can see that AI has a potential to support the journalists. But at the same time, we think that when we talk about if AI can replace the journalists, I think somehow when I talk to the AI expert, they say that it's actually support the journalists to do their work that humans should do. For example, like gathering the kind of the source of kind of data, the raw data that you have to interview people, you have to find out, the document from the government or, investigate or something. Because they say that AI always need the data. In terms of generative AI, you need the input and output. AI can help you to have the fancy output, but in terms of input, they still always need the data, and that is the work that journalists can do. That is what I can say nowadays.
Right. And just spinning that off for Kunnata, you said that the information gathering, the first-hand, on-the-ground information gathering, still has to be done by the reporters before they input that information into the AI tools, right? If you have young journalists, freshmen coming into your newsroom, how do you teach them where the line is, how to be responsible and not to cheat, per se?
Yeah, it's still like training stage. And at the standard, the average age of our staff is 27 years old. It's very young company, and the staff tend to be very active, quite tech savvy from the very beginning. So as of now, because of the policy of the company motivates and encourage our staff to use AI, and it's the clear policy that this year they won't recruit any new staff at all. And the thing is, we have to try to maximize our effort and try to use AI to the full. So from your question, how we can check whether they cheat or not, it's like they have freedom in terms of experimenting in searching for information, having framework to ask with AI, and AI will be like research assistant. But their product will have to be checked by editor or senior content creator or the editorial team to make sure that all the data is correct. And when they produce, they can ask AI to help them in terms of brainstorming. It's like partner, individual partner or research assistant. But along the supply chain, the editors will have to check whether they got the right information. They have to be checked in terms of accuracy. And we need to make sure that all the data or all the output is not being distorted. We have to be very, very careful on that. It means that all the editors have to be like gateway to check the quality of the output. And if we use AI, we can sense that this is hallucination or whether the answer or output from AI is correct or not. it also come with cross-checking by, like what Kun might say, the AI cannot answer the up to the day or up to the moment in terms of news gathering. So we have to cross-check with Google or from other web-based source as well. But overall, it helps us in terms of shortening the time in terms of producing daily news assignment. And it means that each reporter can have more time in terms of asking questions, having more curious mind in terms of developing their idea and develop more insightful content instead of using too much energy to produce daily news update, because the end purpose of us is to integrate with AI to produce higher quality or insightful reporting. So that's the way that we are trying to move forward with AI integration in the newsroom. So, but as of now, the editor has to be very, very careful in checking the information or the supply chain in terms of producing our content.
Yeah. So the hierarchy in the newsroom between the editors and the reporters still has to hold the line. I forgot to say that there's a microphone in the back for anyone who wants to ask a question, so you can just queue up over there. Before that, just one more for me to broaden it out. Here in Southeast Asia, our home region where press freedom can be patchy, many independent outlets face political and economic pressure. So what chances does AI offer to strengthen press freedom? And is that larger, or are the opportunities larger than the risks of AI being used to tighten controls on information?
Everyone, you look at me. Maybe from London also want to answer something, but okay, let me see. I think I also discussed with my colleague in terms of AI what threat to the journalists. I think in terms of generative AI and AI tools, many of them can support the journalists. But what we afraid the most is algorithm of the social media and also like internet platform that could threat, you know, the content of the valuable content or the content from the journalist to downgrade and not show up to the audience. So in terms of AI or generative AI is not that, you know, harmful for the journalists, but we are aware that algorithm is more harmful. Yeah, that is my opinion.
I also would like to second, you know, with Ajahn Brigitta as well. I think in terms of generative AI, so the tools, you know, for me as someone who've been working with a platform, you know, and we always see that. I think generative AI maybe sooner or later it will be the replacement of search engine pretty soon. But that's what it is. But search engine doesn't produce I mean, it could produce like news contents or in some sort like breaking news, like summarize the news. But at the end of the day, you know, the content still have to come from journalists on the ground who actually put all these data for the AI to learn. But the things that I feel that it's actually more, for me, is more scared is all of these misinformation coming from deepfakes, from all of these the bad actors who actually use AI tools to generate misinformation, and how people going to be able to check, you know, to verify, you know, these informations are I think it's more important for them to be more literate in terms of this, you know, the AI literacy. That's why you know, we should actually we should push this work forward in terms of AI literacy. It's still a lot to do.
And one thing that I want to add is there was a research find out that it seemed like algorithm tend to promote more AI content rather than the human-made content. So that is, for me, is very crucial, harmful for the journalists because we spend so much time, money, effort, our sweat on the one piece of news, the very quality one, but at the end it doesn't show up to the audience because of the algorithm.
Charlie, would you like to jump in?
Yeah, just to say that, with each new technology that comes along, like the internet or social media, in the first instance, in that first phase, it's a wonderful democratic thing in the sense that it gives more people more opportunity to express their opinions and to communicate with other people and to be part of the news process, if you like. But we also see that over time, the same technologies can be used for the opposite. But they can be used for surveillance, they can be controlled, they can be regulated, they can be used by people who don't have an interest in democracy and freedom. And in the end, it is not about the technology, it's about the politics of a place. We are losing press freedom because of bad politics, bad politicians. And also, I would say, a failure on the part of the news industry, if you like, of us as journalists, to get the support of people. A lot of the public think we're the problem. They think that the journalists are part of some kind of elite, that we are negative, that we are always criticizing people and we're not on their side. And I do think that the one lesson of what the challenge of AI, and Mike is absolutely right, there is this huge challenge about where are people going to get good information from, but the real challenge is how do we convince people that we can give them trustworthy, relevant information. And I think in the past, journalism has been too irrelevant. It hasn't worked hard enough to forge connections with its community. And fun enough, I think that it's often the smaller news organizations, perhaps the more local ones or the ones that are more niche, focused on a particular, campaign or a particular topic or issue. They're often the ones that are better at the human side of understanding what their public are interested in, being on their side and listening to them as well as talking at them. So I think that's where journalism can survive and thrive in an AI era.
Thank you, that's very important. Yes, sir.
My name is Kalinga Senirath. I'm a journalist and academic with Shinatra University at the moment. Now, when you talk about artificial in AI, we tend to look at it like a new part of enlightenment for all of us. Now, do we really know how information is fed to the system and who feeds it? Same like algorithms, like Google and Facebook are refusing to tell the technology behind it, how they feed algorithms to us. So because, especially when we talk about journalism, cultural perspectives plays a big role in journalism. And I can remember in the 1970s, during the New World Information and Communication or the debates at UNESCO, there were heated arguments about cultural perspectives and the bias of the Western media in UNESCO. The West has never accepted it. Even up to today, the Western media don't accept it. They think they are the custodians of the truth. Now, you mentioned about China skewing the AI. What about the West? And Indians are also getting into it, and many other richer countries are getting into it. So do we really know how AI works? Who feeds it? And would we be misled? Now, when it comes to fact-checking, these days I laugh when I read these articles about threat to press freedom in the US because the Trump administration is cutting funding to Voice of America and Radio Liberty. Now, how can that be press freedom when he's closing up government-funded propaganda outlets? Okay, so if you're checking fact checks, it's true there was news about these funding cuts, but is it a threat to press freedom? Are they really purveyors of freedom? They are propaganda outlets. Same like Russia's RT or Chinese or any other channel you say are propaganda outlets. So how do you judge the value and the reliability of this information we think is enlightening us as journalists today?
Thank you.
Would you like to start? I think it's more your.
I don't know. I don't know if I answer your questions about fact check. I think there was some kind of like protocol, right? The manual that how fact checker doing work, and what I learned actually, I also learned the platform. They also some certain time the platform actually support the fact checker, right? And now they withdraw out from the fact checker. So basically, I think fact checker need to have the manual, and what they can fact check is a factual. They have to, using the journalist skill to find out and verify the information. I think I can answer just only this. I think how you evaluate that, you have at the beginning you have to separate between opinion and also factual,
Yes.
and just go to the factual information, or what is actually happened, right?
Yeah, and I think the thing is that in terms of like fact checking, a lot of fact checking organizations, it's because of the politics, because of I think just exactly what he said, that a lot of times when people look at content to be political, and actually political opinions, and could also back to the AI, it could also give you hallucinated answer as well if it's anything political. That's actually kind of going back to journalists. It's like, isn't fact check, isn't journalist a fact checker? Because you have to seek the truth, you report the truth, like you have to report factual information. I don't see it different. I don't see fact checking and journalists are two different things. I'm not. So but today, just because that we have to be aware, we can't escape the world of technologies that are developing, right? But if we feel strongly that we want our content to the audience, we just have to know what the audience want. What the audience want to know. Like, people still read the news, but the thing is, journalists will never die. But at the same time, you also have to understand exactly where the information needs to go. If you want to add.
Yeah, that's why the skill of verifying fact checking is very crucial, and it's basic skill for any journalist, any content creator. And with this day, with AI growth and AI popularity, the skill that the journalists need is to have AI skill in prompting and checking information from AI as well, because as many times you may find that AI answer with hallucination or with some mistakes or some unusual facts. You need to interact with AI and try to get answer. So it means that journalists or content creators need to upgrade our skills to interact with AI and to improve our skills, because I don't think we can ignore AI at this very juncture. But the question is how we can use it and craft and sharpen our skill in terms of verifying facts as well. That's why to still ask the good question, having curiosity and having access to first-hand information, having access to interview sources or talking directly to news source, still highly crucial in this day of AI growth.
Totally agree.
Thank you. And next question, please.
Hi, Marissa, a member of the club. Just to note, there are several models right now, including GPT-4, GPT-O Omni, that does live searches, it's really up to the prompter to to request it explicitly. Otherwise, the model will kind of roam around and do what it wants. The first question I have is with regard to redactions. Are we seeing more redactions within news organizations that are likely relying on AI to report the news? Another question I have is with, it was kind of answered, but with a shift in the makeup of independent and journalism. Are more and more journalists becoming independent outside of traditional organizations? What are their reasons for doing so? And to kind of tie into what was mentioned about how society kind of looks negatively upon modern journalism or traditional journalism because it doesn't connect, as well as content creators kind of putting viral posts out there. The way they handle conversation is very different from the way traditional journalists handle conversation. And I wonder, is there a way to tap into that? If a YouTuber produces something that's incorrect, you get a bunch of other YouTubers who underneath their accounts can say, I'm a doctor within this organization or in the US or in Thailand. And they'll show that they'll demonstrate that they have some presence to talk about the issue and speak out against what another influencer has said. But I don't see that conversation at all in traditional journalism. And I don't really see that much support for content creators who are more liable to cause these issues and make mistakes and influence more and more people compared to traditional journalists. Is there a way for traditional journalism, institutions, individuals to kind of work together with these content creators, call them out, and support them as well? Because they can grow as well as traditional news organizations can evolve and change and grow with together. That's it.
Charlie, I think I'm going to throw that to you first, especially on the question on redactions.
What do you mean by redactions? So what do you mean by redactions in newsrooms?
Has it changed or increased, given the rise of AI in general? Have redactions changed or increased, and could it be linked to AI use in journalism? Did you hear?
I didn't hear that, sorry.
Yes, please just go to the mic.
Have we seen an increase in redactions in traditional news organizations, and has there been any link to a use of AI?
What do you mean by redactions?
Redactions as in repealing or this information is incorrect. A public announcement stating that we made a mistake and
I see. Got corrections. Yeah, right. Gotcha. Yeah. Perhaps a little bit. I think news organizations have woken up to the fact that they have to be more honest, frankly. You talked about kind of influencers being unreliable, but frankly, a lot of people find a lot of journalism very unreliable. Not necessarily that journalists will lie, or not necessarily they'll make terrible blunders, but the way that journalists often frame stories, the stories that they don't report upon, that's one of the reasons why people are quite suspicious. I actually think there's a lot that journalists can learn from influencers. We actually published a report about 3 years ago, which was done by a journalist from a public service media who was studying influencers and trying to think, well, why are they so successful? And it's because they work really hard and they are really focused on their audience needs. Now, of course, there's going to be influencers who are just in it for clickbait, who perhaps are promoting conspiracy theories, who haven't done any research. But those ones tend to get found out, as you quite rightly said. If you're an influencer and you lie to somebody or mislead them, then you lose your following very, very quickly, and you will get crushed on social media. So I think actually there is already quite a good editing system for those people. But I think there's a lot that journalists can learn from influencers in the way that they work, their flexibility, their creativity as well. The way that they find new ways to connect to people and to talk to people in their own language and about the things that they care about, rather than the things always that journalists think are important. But absolutely, I still think that the newsroom or the news brand is really, really important. A newspaper like The Standard has history, it has archive, it has an audience who have a habit of expecting good journalism from the Standard. The Standard is able to train its journalists. It's able to do research on which technologies are the best. It's able to protect, to a degree at least, its journalists from legal assaults, for example. So in that sense, I think there's a really important role in the future still for news organizations, but absolutely they're going to have to be much more honest about things like when they use AI. I think they should celebrate it. They should say, look, we've got this brilliant personalized newsletter for you. We're using AI to create it because we think that's the most efficient and effective way to do it. Celebrate it if you use AI, but also be honest when you do it, and be honest more generally. We don't know. We made a mistake. We want to know more about this. What do you need to know? I think journalists, generally speaking, have to be a bit more humble in the future.
Thank you. And is that a question? Okay, please.
Hi there, David Lockhead, FCCT member. So we've seen ChatGPT recently bring up models that would be incredibly expensive. And I was just curious about, for the future of closed source AI, what do you guys think as journalists or as organizations about that development where AI or the higher level tools would be incredibly expensive? What impact will that have on smaller outlets? Perhaps the New York Times can afford that, but your daily, I'm not sure. I was wondering if you guys could tell me your thoughts on the direction of closed source AI and how expensive it might become.
I mean, the thing is, speaking of my, because I've been, traveling across the country. I've been doing a lot of training for small and medium-sized newsrooms, and when I show all these AI tools, I think one thing that they have to be aware at first, things just like exactly what the Standard is doing is, because since they're already small, right? Since they don't have like big funding from big corporates, I think it's more important for them to maximize ways to use AI tools. But at the same time, as you said, that it's actually depends on the cost. Right. But not everything. I mean, like if they find a ChatGPT more expensive, then maybe they could also look for alternative tools that also would cost less. But at the end of the day, they just have to ask themselves, what's the purpose of using the AI tools? As a lot of times when I do a lot of consultation for all these newsrooms, is that do you use the AI tools just so that you're up to the trends, or you really use the AI tools to actually serve the actual work that you have to do? I emphasize this word, have to do, right? So if you don't have to do like a daily routine news bulletins, like what the Standard is doing, then don't do it. Then you don't need ChatGPT to do all these like the news bulletin, right? Or anything. Do something else that's more meaningful to you. As a journalist. That's why, because since they're already small already, they might want to focus more on like localized, issues, the issues that matter to their audience. And, they could spend much more time and resources to do something more meaningful rather than just use generative AI to do all these, summarizing works or so. That's just my thought. Anything else that you want to add?
I can add to that because we are in the trial period. So right now we use the same username and password to experiment with different AI application at the moment. But the plan for the Standard in the near future is to develop our own cloud system. But we realize we are very much aware that it takes investment, lots of investment. So it's like learning curve for us. To what extent or to what until what extent that we can use or we can rely on the cloud storage, because everything needs investment, and we realize that our internal data system is not large enough to be training like LLM for the internal system. So there is a risk of developing our own cloud storage or our internal cloud system to train AI, but it will be good investment for the future, because if we want to protect our content for exclusive right and to have real exclusive content, we really have to invest for the future, but it's still experimenting period, but we are very much aware of it. So right now it's like we are using different application as the initial investment to learn from it, and it will have to reach conclusion in the near future to what extent that we will adopt cloud system for internal use for our company.
In my opinion, I think I try to when they're talking, I try to think about if information should be public domain. I mean, the good information, valuable information should be public goods, or it should be private goods, you know. Sometimes when you talk about journalists, a lot of journalists newsroom in Thailand has been bankrupt because there's no investment, you know, and audience just doesn't want, you know, doesn't care about like quality of content or information apart from like financial, you know, market or, you know, financial news that is make money for them. So they rather buy information from that, you know, newsroom. But apart from that, it's make me think like, which is, I think this forum is quite good because we are talking to the UNESCO, which is, I think that the information, the valuable information, somehow it could be public interest, you know, which is when we in the domain of search engine, at least the consumer can make a choice to get good information, right? But when it's come to the, you know, AI generative platform, I don't have money to buy ChatGPT as well. So I think, but I still believe that good information should be in the public domain, right? So we are in the stage that ChatGPT or, you know, other generative AI also need valuable information and can buy it from the journalists, and journalists can make money from it, but at the same time journalists can survive, but at the same time I also think that the information should be in the public. So I can't answer your questions, but I just in the, you know, in this kind of like process my brain about that, because I also aware that, you know, with the AI coming to disrupt web search engine, it could bring into the, you know, information gap between rich and poor as well, which is could be a work of UNESCO to, you know, sort of like finding the answer as well. Yeah. Or maybe we live in this world anyway, right? People have money and can access better information. We still live in this world.
We'll take one more question. Two. Okay. Can you ask at the same
very
time,
popular.
please?
Hi, I'm Keith Mueller. I'm a club member. I run Thailand TV.news, which is a news aggregator here in Thailand. And what this presentation did, like this one gentleman mentioned, it seems like AI is always presented sort of as the fact gatherer from sources, reconfigures it, and then spits it out and fixes grammar and does all those sorts of things. But I'm kind of disturbed at something that you haven't talked about that is new at Google. So yesterday I put my front page of all the news in Thailand into Notebook at Google and had two hosts who for 14 minutes talked about the news of Thailand as if they were experts in Thailand, which they kind of were. I was actually amazed at, and they had personality. And so now it wasn't about facts, there was also very much so in that 14 minutes of interpretation there was a male and a female host. They sort of filled those roles and had interpretation. So now, yes, there were facts of the news. I gave it all the facts of the day, and an incredible interpretation. Things that weren't even in the news, but they kind of knew somehow previously to kind of add to their interpretation. They're about as smart of people about Thailand news that I've ever met, and they weren't even real. So where does that take us? Because now it wasn't even fact, it was 14 minutes of commentary of the news, really. And so it's one thing when AI takes the facts and regurgitates them, it's another thing when it's really doing interpretation of those facts. And it was both incredible and scary at the same time as I watched that happen. So I was wondering about what you feel about that.
Yeah, so that's the feature called audio overview. It's available on Notebook LM, but so far it's only available in English. So basically, if you put all of the we call it all the sources. So basically, you can put all the sources in the topics that you're interested in. You throw it in Notebook LM to learn, and then it will summarize, all of the sources that you put, into. It could be anything between 10 to 18 minutes, depends on, how complex the issue is. I actually, the first thought that I had when this feature came out, because I also have to do the training last year, and when this thing came out, I was also have the same thought that you would have as well, but at the same time I just feel that, again, it depends on how people would actually how they would like to use it. I mean, for me, it would be great if I could just, if I want to listen to like summaries of something that maybe I'm on the BTS on my way to work. I want to understand about something real quick. I just put this. It's kind of like a podcast episode. Sounds great, right? But then if people want to actually use this, like commercially, then again, back to the deep fakes and the AI misinformation, they have to know ways that if they can actually know if this is actually generated by AI. So I think, again, it's a very interesting time for me that there's still a lot for us, not just for us journalists, not only just we still doing the job that we do, but we actually how we actually promote the AI literacy at the same time. It's a very interesting time. Yeah.
Well, my point only was that it's not just a summary. That was, that's okay. AI does a lot of summaries, but it wasn't a summary. It was a summary with an overview of a personality and opinion. Yep. That that is a very scary place. You're exactly right. I mean, I just gave it the URL of my front page, and it figured out what was important. It took a whole personality and commentated on the news. It was a summary is one thing. This was way past that, I would say. That's all.
Panu, I'll give you the last question.
Thank you, Francesca. Hi, Panu Wongchuk from Reuters, and I'm also the president of the FCCT. So first of all, thank you to UNESCO for hosting this event with us. I think it's a very timely topic because it's very relevant to us working journalists. My question is very simple. I think it's more directed towards the practitioner. So, Kun Natta, Kun Mike, I guess. I think this conversation today, it really shows how newsroom today, international or local, are becoming much more reliant on big tech, right? Whether it's input, output, algorithm, AI to transcribe your work or whatnot. Either way, we're depending a lot on big tech. And a lot of the conversation globally is about regulations, right, in the US and so on. Kunatta, I guess more to you, but maybe Mike as well. I know that conversation in Thailand for regulation hasn't really been taking off at all on sort of the influence of tech, especially Thai newsroom now relying so much on third-party tech companies from overseas, essentially. If you can, what kind of, as practitioner, what kind of regulations should Thai government think about regulating? You think about the perspective from the newsroom, from the media. Thank you.
You want to go first?
It's quite a big challenge, really, because of the whole regulation on the data, the flow of data, and the controlling of information, especially in this era of AI first or AI ready. I don't think that government can are very much aware of the controlling tools or regulation yet. And so it turned out to be big challenge for all the newsroom, and especially when Ajahn Pititra mentioned about algorithm, because the main challenge for smaller newsroom or small media organization is to survive financially, and we cannot refuse not to use AI. The question is how we can use AI to maximize our content, to make it quite exclusive and to preserve it, and not to dumbing down content. And we have to give priority to high quality content, but to make our content unique and to meet high standard of journalism as well. So it's quite a big challenge. So the way that I can see now is to keep improving our content, make it unique, make it exclusive, but we have to keep the skill of frontline journalists. They have to remain intact in terms of doing their work, exploring with their skill in terms of asking questions and produce high quality work, even though we are facing difficulty in terms of financial situation, but it's the way we can maintain journalism in this era of AI. But for regulation, the part that you are asking, I don't think that we see any updated regulation by the government or any concerned organization as of now.
I think some of our TJA is already came up with a set of AI guidelines. I think Kun Panu, you probably know about it. I don't know that realistically. I don't know how it will be. Everything will be implemented, and if every newsroom is ready to implement all those. Just for me, I think it's kind of back to the end of the day that the journalists have to know their rights. They also have to know where the information goes, and for example, if they are using tools like ChatGPT or Gemini, do they know where the information goes? Or if they want to use something that the security of their data, they might want to. Do they probably have to use another tool? Like that is also something that why it is important that for them just to take a little bit of time. And I think that's why a lot of tech companies, I think especially Google, they are prioritizing kind of like this AI literacy in the newsroom. That this year they give like a very heavy investment on AI consultation. So then the journalists actually know their rights. They know exactly where. What tool is appropriate for what kind of data, but this is a very new territory. That's why I think it's going to take years, maybe take a few years for them to learn and understand exactly what this AI landscape is. Yeah.
Maybe
Can I?
Yes.
Yeah, just a little bit. I think what Kun Mai say is like a code of conduct to regulate the journalists on AI new technology, right? But the thing is, I would like to just add on just a little bit about the regulation on the tech company, which is normally, actually I learned from LSE, when you regulate something like in the media industry, you regulate content and also you regulate the market. I feel like Thailand is rather regulate the content. We are so afraid of whatever posts and whatever journalists saying, and we are so afraid of freedom of expression, so we regulate more contents. That's why the tech company never come to put the office register in Thailand. I actually, when you ask about what we should regulate, I think we should regulate the market rather than the content. Yep. And so just make it and by be able to regulate the market, you need to kind of like liberalize the content or content freedom to make the tech company trust on this territory that they can come in and put the office here without any harm, without any police or military turn up to their office. So I think you should regulate the market rather than the content. welcoming the tech to put the office here, register in Thailand, and collect the tax. And then after that, you use the tax to subsidize your society and also journalists, which is die out in Thailand.
Just to, okay, yes, Dominic, would you like to ask a question?
Sorry, I'd just like to ask a very quick question, Dominic Falder, Nikkei Asia. How far down the path are we developing AI that can detect bad AI so that we don't have to worry about any of all this? Thank you.
Do you want to add?
Charlie, do you want to take that one?
Mike's probably going to be better on this and the technology, but in terms of the progress, I have seen really interesting programs where they are able at least to flag it up, but it's incredibly difficult to set the standards by what you mean by bad AI. I think that's one of the problems. You know, that do you mean where fact checking, or do you mean problematic AI? It's really difficult. Some people are claiming, for example, they can start to produce watermarks, but then you have to opt into that system in the first place. You know, you or the AI tool that you're using has to, you know, be programmed to adopt those tools. So I do not think that there's any kind of magical technological fix for any of the risks or problems that AI raises. I think the regulatory approach is also going to be rather limited. It's still very much early days. I think this is both encouraging but also worrisome that generative AI has only been around for a couple of years, and it is continuing to develop, and of course people are developing, you know, the agents that are based on these large language models. You know, we keep talking about AI as if AI was one big thing. It's not. You know, it's a series of different companies producing large language models and millions almost of people creating the agents that are based on it, and then of course people are adopting it. So I think from a journalism point of view, it's that old cliche of keeping the expert in the loop, and you should treat it like any other source or any other tool, that it's got to be, if you like, edited. There's got to be some human at some point, ideally at the beginning, middle, and end of any process using AI, where they identify whether it's working properly or not. And I think that is talking about the future of journalism. It doesn't sound quite so glamorous as being a writer or a correspondent. Those are still going to be needed, but the idea of having to be, you know, an AI curator or AI editor is going to be one of the most important roles in a newsroom going forward. Thanks.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to him, because, you know, if the existing tools that you can actually do, like the AI verification on images and content, that's thing called Synth ID, which is already available. This is on Google. So basically, if you go to the Google Images and then you click at each picture menu, there's a little 3 dots at the corner of each image. Then you can go to the about the image, and it will show you where, you know, all the information about the picture, whether if it's, you know, AI generated or not, or because that Synth ID, it would detect the digital watermark. It's only right now. It's only working for the Google tools, but it soon will be expanding to some digital watermarks that created by other platforms as well. So that's a good sign. And also I think a lot of times, believe it or not, like Google search, like a regular Google search can also do you know, kind of fact check the AI contents pretty well. It's just that, you know, it's like whether people actually know how to use it or not. So that is what we have right now. But to have like one centralized tools that would fact check everything AI, I don't know if if you know any of those things, please let me know. But it's not that I'm aware of at the moment. Yeah.
All right, well, thank you very much to the audience for your thoughtful questions, and please join me in a round of applause for our panelists. And thank you to UNESCO for sponsoring this event at the Foreign Correspondents Club of Thailand. Have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you.